Welcome to Traveling the Earth. Today we are in Kathmandu's Garden of Dreams, reflecting on our recent journey to Pokhara in the Western Hills region of Nepal. So Pokhara, from my understanding, is related to the word pond or ponds. And so I've got a nice pond behind me with a type of water, water foliage. I don't know if these are considered to be lotus flowers or if they're from lily pads. I don't know exactly, but they're quite beautiful. But I just wanted to reflect a little bit on the Pokhara experience because I arrived in Kathmandu, spent a few days here, and then took the beautiful bus ride out to Pokhara and just came back yesterday the same route. The way there, it was very rainy, but still quite beautiful. The mist on the mountains that were just lush and green and jungle covered. And then the way back yesterday, it was very bright and sunny throughout the journey. And in some areas, you could even see the giant Fishtail Mountain, which is 25,000 foot tall, peeking out from behind the green hills, which would be big mountains in most countries. But they're just babies here. So anyway, the experience in Pokhara was very nice because even though it's the second biggest city in Nepal and has about 500,000 people, maybe a little bit more during tourist season, there are less tourists right now because it's the monsoon season. But it's you feel very close to nature in Pokhara. You can take many nature walks up through the hills. You can go to Sarangkot. You can go up to the Japanese Peace Pagoda, the Shanti Stupa. You can do cable cars. You can do paragliding. You can go trekking when it's trekking season all through the Annapurna region, the Annapurna Circuit, the Annapurna Sanctuary hike, and a variety of other amazing treks. You can do rafting and kayaking on beautiful rivers like the Trisuli River, the Trident River that comes down from the sacred lakes up in Langtang National Park and from Tibet, and that later joins the Ganges, the Ganga River, as it makes its way down into northeast India and Bangladesh into the giant river delta region where it enters into the Bay of Bengal. So anyway, it's like just being in such a nature environment where there's lots of yoga available, where there's Ayurvedic and Tibetan medicinal treatments available, where there is a variety of contemplation and meditation coursework available, where you can take daily classes, you can take 10-day retreats or longer within the southern Buddhist tradition of Theravada, the Vipassana tradition, or within the various Tibetan schools of northern Buddhism. So you have a variety of different options, plus various yogic expressions of meditation, Hatha Yoga, Iyengar Yoga, and many different schools are present within the Pokhara region. Just being in the city along the lakefront, there's a huge variety of food available from all around the world. You've got the local Nepali food, dal bhat. You've got Nawari cuisine. You've got North and South Indian available, and then of course Japanese, Korean, Chinese food, Western foods available. A variety of teas available. Some of them local grown in Elam, out in eastern Nepal, on the border with Sikkim and Darjeeling in West Bengal. So Pokhara is a really amazing place for all these different types of activities. And there are museums there related to the Gurkhas, the great warriors of Nepal, that to this day still work within the British and Indian militaries in Singapore and Hong Kong and around the world. They also have an international mountaineering museum there for those who are interested in trekking and mountaineering, mountain climbing, which is also a big activity in the area, with people climbing a variety of 20,000 foot and higher peaks, and practicing for Everest and whatnot, which is in a different part of the country, but very accessible from Pokhara. Pokhara you can reach by plane, you can reach by bus, by private jeep, private car. There are package tours available. and then you can travel independently. It's great for independent travelers, for backpackers on a budget, on a shoestring budget, as well as kind of middle range and high end travelers. So anyway, there's so many activities available. So it's interesting coming back to Kathmandu because I just noticed that I was a bit energetically sensitive since arriving, and just noticing how much more kind of invasive people were into my space. And it's from being in a kind of a more nature contemplative area, taking boat rides and going on walks through the forest and whatnot, and then being in a very crowded, polluted area with lots of smog, lots of cars, lots of motorcycles. So it was a major contrast. So I mean, and some people, if you get stressed out by South Asian cities like Delhi, Calcutta, Chennai, Mumbai, Kathmandu might stress you out. Although I feel like Kathmandu is less stressful than those that I mentioned, at least from my experience. Although I've never been to Chennai, but I would like to. So if you don't like big city environments and you don't like big South Asian style cities, then maybe you might want to just either skip over Kathmandu and go straight to Pokhara, or maybe go to a more relaxed area of the Kathmandu Valley, right off the bat, where you can go from the airport to, say, Patan, and not have as much of the people trying to separate you from your money or help you however you might perceive it. And the thing is, when you're in a state of imbalance, when you're in a state of transition, a state of stress, you might perceive things in negative ways that aren't necessarily negative in and of themselves. Like, so for instance, yesterday, like 2 days ago, I was feeling a bit off, and then I traveled. I was well enough to travel, and it was a beautiful day and a very peaceful bus ride, and everything was clicking in place. And then it turns out that the bus drops us off in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't taking us to the normal tourist bus stand outside of Tamil, but to someplace further out at the edges of Kathmandu. And arriving, there were many people, just all the touts are surrounding you, like to get you to use their cab. People are coming up and asking for money, for food, and it's kind of intense. And it kind of tests your mental balance, your equanimity. And so you're going to get to learn a lot about yourself on how you react to stressful situations. And places and times of transition always have more stresses, like, for instance, border, like at a border point. Like, for instance, I was at a border into Kathmandu city. So it was stressful, and I was transitioning from, like I said, Pokhara, even though it's even though it's the second biggest city in Nepal, it's also very close to nature and very beautiful. And so you could be in the lakeside area and almost forget that you're in a big city. And so when you come back to a big city, it might be in your face. It might be more intense than you had hoped for. So just if you're going to come to these areas, I highly encourage you to explore Kathmandu and Kathmandu Valley, and to explore Pokhara. Especially that area is amazing. But I would say that maybe do a little bit of pre-planning. Like, this trip was more spontaneous for me, so I didn't get to do as much advanced planning as I would typically do. So I'll talk about that in another video. So until next time, have a peaceful day and enjoy some nature.